Hello everyone, I hope you're all having an awesome day today, and in this video we're going to be doing a review for Star Wars, also known as Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, which came out in 1977. Now this is one of the most iconic movies in cinema history. As a matter of fact, I can't even imagine what the course of human history would have been like if this movie hadn't have existed. George Lucas definitely made a very well crafted movie, especially with the limited technology of his time. And to just hop right into the review, this is a phenomenal story. It's very straightforward, but this might be the best movie to ever just have a very basic, straightforward story. All of the characters pop out. They're unique from one another. Obviously, you have Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, just a kid that wants to be a hero. It's a great hero archetype, or whatever you want to call it. Then you have Han Solo, maybe my favorite character from this movie. Just what a cool guy. You also have Chewbacca and the droids, and Princess Leia is very well done as well. And you have Peter Cushing as Tarkin, who's a pretty intimidating villain. But the one villain that made the biggest presence in this movie was Darth Vader, of course. Possibly the greatest villain in film history, or at least second greatest. I can't even begin to imagine how they were able to come up with such a good villain and a good look for him, a good design, and how they got it first try without messing it up. It definitely probably took a lot of development behind the screen, and it was a very good idea for them to introduce Darth Vader before they even introduced Luke Skywalker, because you knew who the threat was, and it just does a good job of making sure you know, like, the Empire is, don't mess with them, they're bad. That's probably the best way to put it. Visually speaking, there is some stuff that hasn't aged all that well, and it is a little bit weird because you have the special editions which add CGI into them and stuff, and I think some of the changes are good, some are bad, and some are just pointless. But overall, I don't really know which version I prefer, and if you're interested, you can get the original versions on VHS, and there was even a DVD at one point that had the original versions on a special features disc. So while the visuals were very good for the time, there are still some that just haven't aged well, and then it looks even weirder when you add the CGI into it because it just feels very inconsistent. And I don't hate that they kind of expanded the Tatooine with CGI, because I don't even hate the prequels, so it connects it a little bit better, but visually it is a little bit inconsistent if you're watching that version. But still, like, the next year Superman 1978 came out, and you also had the Star Trek movie that came out in 1979. They were kind of pioneers of the green screen, and I think Star Wars has aged significantly better than them in comparison. And overall, it's just a lot of fun, kind of a feel-good movie. It might be the most rewatchable Star Wars movie, not necessarily the best, but the most rewatchable, just because of how much fun it is. And there's a lot of action, and knows you want action. And most of that's done pretty well, especially the final battle with the Death Star. That might be the most impressive thing they did visually, actually, the space battle. Although I will say the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader might be the worst lightsaber fight in Star Wars history, which, I mean, you can't blame them because back then, like, they didn't know what to do. But it is a little bit funny looking back at it. It's definitely not the best choreography, but it doesn't ruin the film. It still works on its story level. So this is a movie that just makes you feel all the emotions. And what can I really say other than it's just very well made, and it introduced us to this great Star Wars universe. I know some people actually think it's overrated, but I would not say that's the case at all. The acting is good, and the pacing is really good too. Some people say it's too slow, but I think it might be the quickest paced just because of how short the story is. And overall, on a story level, I don't really think I have any problems with it. My only nitpick from the movie is just kind of the visuals. Just a few of them weren't quite there at the time. And then when you watch the special editions, some of it is improved, but it still feels completely different than the CGI that's also in it. But overall, on the quality scale of 0 to 100, we'll give this movie a 97%, and I definitely recommend this. It's a great film. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and in honor of May being National Star Wars Month, I am going to be reviewing the other two movies in the original trilogy, so if you want to stick around for those, feel free to.